All right, hey folks, so we're going to take a look at writing an actual melody here today. So the first thing you're going to need is to make sure you've got your old rhythm composition, so the one that we worked on last time. Now this should be the same one that I worked on last time, so that means that I am going to do something a little bit different with it here today. So to start off with, first thing I'm going to do is just make sure I have this accessible. Now you don't necessarily need to see it all the time, but that's okay. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to have to make a staff. Now I don't have staff paper right now. All I have is a regular old notebook and a pencil. So to make the staff, all I need to do is go ahead and just draw 5 parallel lines. Now I drew these rather large, and that's okay. Next thing I need to do is draw a treble clef over on the left-hand side of my paper. So I'm going to draw the letter J, I'm going to draw a capital D, and then the number 6. Now it may not look exactly perfect, but that is okay. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my old rhythm composition right here, and I am going to take a look at the first pitch that I have. So it's a C. Now, or not a C, excuse me, a quarter note. It's going to be a C. Now, like I said with the rules, it does mean that we are going to need to make sure that the first pitch is a C. So down below, I'm going to draw, well, time signature first, 4-4. Sorry about that. We're going to draw that middle C right down there. So you're going to take your ledger line, and you're going to take whatever pitch it is that you did, whatever rhythm, because I did a quarter note right there. So I'm going to turn this into a quarter note. So I've got my middle C with my quarter note. Next thing I do is I take and I look, I see a half note right there. So I'm going to pick whatever I want in order to do this. So the next thing that I think I'm going to do is leap up a little bit, and we're going to go up to this F right here. So I'm going to put my half note on that first space F, as in every, or face, F-A-C-E right there. So I've got that right there. Next thing I do is I have a pair of eighth notes. So with this pair of eighth notes, I need to make sure that I am not moving around those eighth notes too much. That means I'm not going to be able to go G to A or A to B or what have you. They're going to stay on the same pitch. So I'm going to choose to walk down a little bit, and I'm going to make my pair of eighth notes go on that first line right there, and I have my eighth notes just like that. So that means that I'm done with my first measure. So I'm going to draw my bar line right here. It only goes between the top and bottom lines on the staff. It doesn't go outside. It's not just a big old line that goes through the entire paper. From the top to the bottom, or bottom to the top, I don't care how you draw it. Next thing I do is I'm going to take my next beat right there, and I have another pair of eighth notes. Now I still have freedom. I can go pretty much wherever I want to with this without leaping too much. Now if I go from E up to, let's say for example, B right here, that is not too big of a leap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my eighth notes on here. Now you're going to notice at the middle line and above, so from the middle line to the top, you are going to start drawing your stems facing downward. Now this is just something we call standard notation, and that is just the way that music looks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my eighth notes facing downward, just like that. Now I have a rest. Rests stay right there in the middle of the staff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my rest right in the middle of the staff, and we are good to go. You don't need to draw your rest up or down or anywhere else. It goes right in the middle. That middle line goes through the middle of that rest right there. Next thing I do, I can keep moving forward. Let's go up a pitch to C right there, which means that again, because it's above that middle line, my C is going to go downward. And now to go back down, let's make it an A with my next pair of eighth notes. If you look right there, we've got another pair of eighth notes, so we do that. So my A's right here are below the middle line, which means that the stems go back facing upward. Now again, I'm finished. That means I draw my bar line right here and I continue on. So let's pretend that I finished out my composition. So we're going to pretend that I do a whole another 6 measures. Okay? So if I draw my next staff down here, because this is where my next staff will go, we got another treble clef. We don't need another time signature. We just need one time signature. Now, let's say, for example, that I am going to finish this out. Okay? So pretend that this whole thing right here is the last measure. If I were to, for example, go to the end right here, I might start it on a C right here, stem facing downward. Maybe I'll go up to a high F with a pair of eighth notes right there. And then let's say I go down to a low A, or a low G right here. We'll do another pair of eighth notes on that low G. Now here is where part of your rules comes into play. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3 beats right there. We're almost done. Pretend that there's more notes in this measure. It doesn't really make a difference. Now the last thing that I need to do is make sure that I end on a middle C. That middle C will help me make sure that this is finished. So I'm going to take this here and I'm going to end on a quarter note middle C. It doesn't have to be a quarter note. Yours could be a half note. It could be a pair of eighth notes. It doesn't really make a whole lot of difference what it is, but that's okay. So you've got your middle C right there. Last step here, ladies and gentlemen, is to draw your final bar line, your double bar line. So the way to do that, you draw a single bar line, and then leaving a small space, you are going to draw a second, slightly thicker bar line. And what that does is that makes it look like it is completely finished. It's all the way done. It is a piece of music that we all created. Now, obviously, I only wrote 3 measures worth of music. For yours, you're going to do a total of 8 measures. Just like that last composition said, you should still have the old one from last time, and then you are creating a melody using your new composition abilities. Okay? If you need help with any of this, please let me know. Please reach out, and I will be happy to work with you on this. Otherwise, let's go ahead and get to work.